They paid ScarJo for her.
Not yet.
For her.
She has to be suing them by this point, right? I mean, the whole internet's talking about her. It has to be.
Welcome to the Not Null Podcast. I'm just an AI voice, but here are your real hosts, Kevin Doyle, Sarah Kimmel, and Bobby Davis.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Not Null Podcast. I'm Kevin Doyle, and this week I'm joined by Sarah Kimmel and Bobby Davis. Usually this is the tech podcast where we talk about everything from AI breakthroughs to VR's new realities, but this week we're just talking about AI breakthroughs. It is all AI all the time this week. So coming up in this episode, OpenAI
AI,
released...
and then more AI. And
exactly, more AI and a little bit more AI. In this week's episode, OpenAI released GPT-4o, Google I.O. conference announcements. We'll talk about those. And finally, we'll wrap up with YouTube's AI jump ahead feature. And finally, we'll do our null, not null recommendation section. So this week, OpenAI released a new, faster, and free-to-use GPT model called GPT-4o. Not GPT 4.0, GPT-4o.
O as in... Yeah.
O as in Omni, is what they're saying. Omni meaning all, right? Meaning everything. And the reason they've called it that, this was part of their spring update. They released this in a 30-minute press conference. And the reason that it is Omni is because it is now natively multimodal. So we've seen multimodal AIs before where you can give them a text and they can give you back voice, or you can give them voice, they can give you back text or images and those kind of things. But this one is truly multimodal. It will take in text, audio, and image and produce audio, text, image, and video eventually, right? Because we're gonna get to the point where the video generation comes out. But how this happened in the past is you've put in a prompt, and it is like if you've asked for an image prompt back out, it's translated basically your text input and taking it out as an image. Now it'll take an image in and produce an image out. So it's truly multimodal. This is brand new, first time we've seen this.
Does it create squirrels that turn into chickens and run away?
My guess is yes. My guess is nothing fundamentally changes here other than it's now truly multimodal. So some new features, and one of the features that they talked about a lot in their presentation was with the voice features, right? Scarlett Johansson is still there. I mean, Sky is still there, but she's now much better. She's faster, almost real time. So, and this is apparently due to the multimodality part, because it's taking in voice and producing voice. It's not having to go through the generation of generating translation to text and then back from text back to voice using Whisper. Now it's truly voice to voice, so it can be much faster, which is great.
They paid ScarJo for her...
Not yet.
For her...
She has to be suing them by this point, right? I mean, the whole internet's talking about her. It has to be. But it can also do voice inflections now too. So it can do like different types of voices. They showed a demo where the AI sang and it became more dramatic and it was very cool. It was also creepily flirty in places, which was very weird. Some of the demos were like, oh, that's it was strange. It had that like AI girlfriend vibe. They did a translation demo, which was also cool using this. So they said basically the demo was there was an English speaker and a Spanish speaker, and they told the AI, said, hey, I'm going to speak to you in English, and I want you to translate to my friend here who speaks Spanish. And when he speaks Spanish, translate back to English. And it did it. Real time, real quick. It worked perfectly. I could totally see that being the way you now translate with people, as long as it translates it correctly.
Universal translator, baby. Let's go, Star Trek.
Yeah, so very Star Trek. Very Star Trek. It also had some new vision features as well. So you can point your camera at something. And in a demo, they showed somebody pointing the camera at a math problem, and they're writing out the math problem. Yes, it was simple, but it solved the math problem along with the person, just by looking at what was in the camera. It could also look at like emotions on your face and stuff as well. They pointed the camera at the guy and said, hey, how am I feeling? How do you think I'm feeling right now? And he was smiling. And he said, hey, I think you're feeling happy, which was kind of cool. I could see this being a feature. So Bobby, what do you think? What's your one favorite new thing about this? And do you think there's anything in here you're going to be using?
So I used it a little bit yesterday, and when I logged on, the first thing I noticed, it said, do you want to know a fact about the Roman Empire? Like, normally I don't think about the Roman Empire, but like, you know,
Yes.
That's so funny.
I think OpenAI knows what they're doing with that. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure they're like, let's add a little bit of internet culture in here, and let's make that one of the first prompts.
So
yeah, this
I'm
is
a
one of the other
paid
things that is
user.
available right now is
Yeah.
GPT 4.0 in its text format. None
So
of the other
we-
features are available yet.
So I'm a paid user of GTP. Been that way for a year. Actually, we're going to convert over to a corporate account. Me and Kevin were talking about today that we're going to share our GPTs together. The thing that we liked was we can train a private GPT, and then we're going to try to produce content with it on just at least written content, or at least maybe it'll give us a more head start to do it.
Yep.
So we're finding things to use. The biggest thing here is voice to voice, in my opinion, because as I said from the beginning, the chatbot is not the end all of apps ever.
Yeah.
This has got to go to some kind of hardware device where you can talk to it, and then you don't need to type in prompts or whatever. You just ask it things and it does it. I think that's the coolest thing that they've done. They've made that faster, which is everyone says all the glasses and everything's really slow. For AR to truly work, it does need to be real time. You ask it a question, it tells you right away. If you have to wait 8 seconds, you miss the exit on the highway, or you don't turn down the street where you need to. So I think that's really important. So I think it's kind of cool, but it's still the same text generation, what we could tell. It still wrote the same crappy blog articles. And we had to
I mean,
edit
the
them.
model is still, it's faster, it's cheaper from a developer's perspective too. It's like half the price. So if you're using the API to use this in something, it's 2 times as fast, half the price, which is great, but it's still fundamentally the same way of generating the thing. If it's wrong, it hallucinates, still has all the same problems.
The
it had
reason it's
before.
50% cheaper is that no one has bought the API. So like, that's the problem. And so like, I do think that generative text AI has to find a customer.
Mm-hmm.
It's found some customers like us, but us paying $20 a month isn't going to pay the bills for them training
Not
this
even
in
close. I'm
the
surprised they
magnitudes
even
of billions, if not $1 trillion.
I'm surprised
to
it
do
even covers
this.
that cost, to be
Right.
honest.
It
Yeah.
doesn't.
No, it can't.
Yeah. And so like, I mean, I guess they're counting on the fact that a lot of users will buy it monthly and not use it. So they don't have any kind of compute costs with those, but like still it's super inexpensive. The thing that was funny though, and me and Kevin talked about this a lot, was that he did everything on an Apple device, which was weird that he demoed on an Apple and iPhone and it wasn't on a Windows device.
Huh.
And so, since
Everything. It was all
Microsoft is
Macs, it was
50%
all
owner, I don't know
iPhones.
if he got any calls from them or like, hey, bro, like
Right.
use a Surface, or, but
That is interesting.
the other thing we kind of theorized about this was like, well, maybe he didn't want to steal Copilot's thunder, because Copilot will come out with something like this. The desktop app they're releasing is Mac OS only.
Yeah.
So I guess Windows is going to have a Copilot version of this that runs on Windows.
Yeah.
OpenAI and ChatGPT pushing out a Mac-only version was definitely not on my bingo card. That doesn't seem like it's like you would not have thought that. And the only answer to that is Windows and Microsoft is going
Told
to
them.
push out their own version on their
It's
own,
going to
in
be
their own
very
thing.
more.
And
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. There's no way. I just don't buy it. And the fact they used all Apple hardware just was strange to me.
So the memes were like, they had the memes of going like this. Yes, it's only on Mac, and people walking down the street. Don't look this way, Nadella, like a lot of that stuff. But I really believe that Windows or Microsoft had to talk to them and say, only put it on a Mac. We'll do the Windows thing. That's what I think's
Yeah.
really going here. And they'll separate it a month or two, and then there'll be a Copilot announcement so they both can win. That's what I think. And you
That
can
makes
have
sense.
the Mac OS thing. We don't
Right.
care about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, have your pretty little app. We'll integrate it to everything that we've got. Yeah.
The other theory, Kevin, is that the on-device thing is coming to the iPhone. I think we see that in June or July. And I think this is the model that's going to be doing it. Something like this that runs on device that they can do it really quick.
Yeah, I think that's a definite thing. I think Siri is going to get a massive upgrade. If it doesn't, it's going to be a problem. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll see that when the Apple
Do they
app
change
makes
the
their
voice of Siri, or do they keep Siri around, or she get fired
I think
for
they keep the
Scarlow?
voice. No, I think they keep the
she
voice.
becomes Scar.
I think they keep
Siri
the voice. I
gets
think they keep
fired
the
for
original.
Scarlett Johansson.
She does an Apple deal. So-
I can see it. Like, hey, if you guys are going to use my voice, then like let
wanna
me
be
come
paid.
in and record some stuff and give me my bag. Yeah.
Definitely. some of the other stuff they have on the side, I don't know if you guys have been through this, but they actually, like, from the presentation was only 30 minutes, but there's a whole bunch of other videos you can go on the site here and look at. There's a whole bunch of other demos that they have, which are really cool. And then they showed some other like capabilities down here too. Just to look at a couple of these, like they have this image one where they took an image, a brand, and put it on an item, just like you could do in Photoshop, right? But this is done with AI. They took the logo, they slapped it on. I was like, that's kind of cool. This 3D object thing was kind of interesting. They had it render a 3D object spinning around. That's AI generated. That's pretty cool.
I think the first feature you just showed, I didn't see that. That'd be great for these t-shirt vendors. You're making a shop and you have a model.
Yeah.
And you just want to put your branded thing on it.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
If
it works.
Thing. Yeah, exactly. If it works. Yeah. Yeah. There was a lot of like little hidden stuff they didn't really talk about. And you can see them in these little demos that they have on here. Talk about character design and the movie creations, and they do these other things. And it's kind of cool. There's a lot buried in here that they did not showcase as part of the kind of 30-minute presentation. There's a lot to it, a lot more than you realize there is to it. Short of just the GPT-4o model, which is all we have access to at this point, by the way. We only have access to the text input, text output part of this. The voice part, the video part, obviously we don't have yet. The audio part we don't have yet. I keep checking the app. The app says that it's 4o, but when you go to voice generation, it just uses the old 4 version of the model.
Well, one thing we can say for sure, Sam has been indoctrinated to Microsoft by naming it the worst thing you could possibly name it, by using an O where a 0 should be. It's like,
yeah.
I guess, well, if we're going to invest,
that is contagious. Yeah.
It's like, what do you call it?
So if you're Microsoft, then you gotta embrace the terrible name.
It's like,
it's
so
not 0.
It's GPT 4.0. No, it's 4o.
Oh.
Yeah. Terrible branding.
What's that stand for? Multi-model. Okay. I got you.
So there's like one O in that, and it's like 3 letters or 3
words.
It
said 4M. I mean, but like, hey,
it's supposed to be for Omni. Oh, here's the other thing too, by the way.
Omni model. Okay.
Omni model.
Right.
Because it's supposed to be all. That's the incumbent. They're supposed to be taking all inputs, throw out all outputs, right? That's the Omni model. But actually, I asked GPT what the O stands for, and you know what it said?
Oh, yeah. What?
Open. It stands for open. It totally got it wrong. I'm like, I'm asking you. It's literally your name, and you don't even know what it stands for. Yeah.
We think it's open.
It's literally right here, look. They couldn't have... I mean, it's right here, look. Right, it's the first line of their website. It says it. Yet, itself didn't know that it was for Omni and thought it was open.
I would have used M, though. I'm just saying, I would have said multi. Can we just go with multi? Right. That's what I would have said in the meeting. No, it's Omni. But it's an O.
3M is the thing, but 4M isn't a thing.
Yeah. I'm excited about messing with some of this stuff, though. I think it's going to be cool, especially the voice. I think the voice, I've always liked the voice thing. I think it's great. I've always found it's actually my favorite way to interact with the AI, especially on the phone. I'm having a conversation.
I think most people prefer that if you're like talking to your assistant. So I've got, my Google Assistant, and, weird people like Kevin have a Siri and things like that. But yeah, I think if you're talking to it, it feels more natural instead of like.
Yeah, I don't know how it works either from a technical perspective because they haven't really said, but I'm guessing a couple of things are happening here for it to be so fast, because it is so fast. We're talking about like not even a second between finishing to speak, between it starts speaking, whereas now it's like 6 seconds, maybe 5 seconds. It's a chunk of time. So I'm guessing they're doing one of a couple of things. Either it's a combination of on-device and cloud generation, which I think it may be, because it's giving you some information back almost straight away. That could be the on-device stuff versus the cloud thing that it's going out to. Then it's pulling those things back in afterwards. Or I also think that it could be like partial canned responses. So if you start listening to them and you start listening to people who have the demo videos, the first response is always something along the lines of, yeah, I can definitely help with that. Let me help you with that. And it's filled in that tiny little gap there with almost filler words.
Right.
Before its cloud has actually put back the data back in and it's carried on talking, which I don't mind because that's what we do as humans. It actually makes it feel more human, right? We do little filler bits. When somebody asks us a question, we say, let me think about that. Okay, I got that.
Or we'll like repeat back the question to give us some time to like, oh, okay, so you're looking for this. Oh, okay, now I've got it. Yeah.
I have a feeling it's a little bit of that going on.
Yeah,
because
that
it never
makes
really
sense.
just gives you the answer straight up front. It kind of takes a second for the answer to actually really come to fly. But it has this kind of conversational quality with you that says, yeah, let me think about that. Or, yeah, hold on. Yeah, I know what that is.
Yeah.
And that's enough time for it to go to the cloud, come back, and have the answer for you.
And then they can like bulk up their response time too with that. Like, we've got an answer within like, a second, but it's the like, oh, that's a great question.
Exactly. That's exactly how they'll frame it. They'll give you from the first time it starts speaking, whether that contains the answer or not.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting. I'm interested to mess with it. We don't know any dates. We know it's going to roll out to premium members first. We have premium, so hopefully we get it soon. I check it every day. And the only way to actually check it is I'll go into the thing and I'll start talking to it and I'll say, hey, what version of GPT are you based on? And right now she just takes 5 seconds and says GPT-4. So weird. I'm assuming when it happens, she's just going to instantly answer me back and say, yeah, I'm based on 4o.
Does she know, though? Because, she doesn't know what O stands for.
Well, I'll know because it'll be much faster. Right? So, hopefully. So let's talk about some more AI, because that's what Google's I.O. conference should have been named, Google AI, because it was AI everywhere. If the theme of this conference, the keynote, if anything else, was AI, it was all AI. It was a million AI things.
Yeah, I looked through the list of like 100, things from Google I/O. It was like AI.
Yes. I mean, think about this. This is what we're seeing right now on the screen is a blog post on Google that is 100 things we announced at I/O 2024. And that's true. And I think 99 of these were jammed in their keynote.
Right.
It really was. It was crazy. It was 2 hours, a 2-hour keynote compared to OpenAI's 30-minute keynote.
Yeah,
just contrast those
long.
Two, right?
Yeah.
It's very long. So here's some of the things they announced. And I'll go through like a quick list of these, and then we'll talk about which ones you guys liked or which are your favorite. So Gemini 1.5 Flash, which is their new model built for speed. Gemini 1.5 Pro, which is their new flagship LLM model. It has a 1 million token context window that will soon be 2 million, which is definitely biggest in the industry, coming this year. Project Astra, which was their version of OpenAI's looking at the camera thing, basically seeing what the camera sees and being able to answer questions about the camera. They also low-key used a pair of glasses in the demo, which they did not talk about. They wore them, they showed a demo of it, and then said nothing about them. So very weird, very
interesting. Yeah.
Yep. Image Gen 3, which is their new image generation model. I don't have access to that yet. I'd love to have messed with it. I only have Image Gen 2. Gems, which is the same as custom GPTs from OpenAI. So a tailored version of a GPT that you can train on a bunch of stuff and it can answer questions about specific subjects or topics. AI overview in search, which I've been messing with for a while now as part of the beta for that, but that's going to be now open to all. So top of the search window now, when you search for something in Google, whether you like it or not, because I'm not sure if you can turn it off, but it's going to be AI generated. The very, very top part of Google now, the first page even, is AI generated.
Like we talked about this last week, like how we kind of are starting to ignore like at least the first half of Google results.
I've noticed as I'm had this more and more for the past few months, I skip past the AI generated stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I don't trust it. I don't trust that it's right. It says it's right. It'll give you facts as it's like 100%, but it's not, right? We know it's not.
Yeah.
Then there was Veo, the video generation model, which is basically their version of OpenAI Sora. Then there was Android 15, which they've shoved AI everywhere in it, including one feature that stuck out to me where it listened to voice calls. The demo had the guy have a voice call in from somebody at his bank, right, in quotes, that said, hey, we've got a transaction and we need to move all of your money to a special account. And on the screen on his phone, on his Android phone, it popped up and said, this is likely a scam.
That's
so
awesome.
The phone is listening to his telephone conversations and telling him it's a scam. So
not
whenever
sure how
you
much
think
people
about that,
will like that, yeah.
Exactly. That's like, oh, I like it / don't like it. But it was an interesting demo.
Yeah.
So, and then the last one we'll talk about is photos. They had AI built into photos, so you can ask like contextual questions about photos. They had a demo, so you could say like, hey, tell me all the characters I've dressed up as on Halloween. And it would know based on metadata on the photos and pictures of you, say, hey, okay, you've dressed up as Mario and a skeleton and whatever. And it would know just based on a prompt to say, in context for where you were those photos. How many times have I been to a certain destination? It should know the answer to that too based on your photos.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. I think that's kind of neat. We'll see. Plus, literally, like we said, 98 other things. Like, there's so much stuff in here. So, Sarah, anything impress you? What's your takeaway from this? What's your favorite feature? You have one?
Yeah, like I will get into that in just a sec, but what you were just talking about, how like it kind of gathers all that data from like your photos and things like that. I know we tested on this program. I think, Kevin, you were gone this day when I used the Google AI to try and search like, oh, when is my trip coming up to Dallas?
Oh, I remember that. Yep.
Yeah. And like, it was totally could not find anything about it. So I don't know how much I believe, like, you know, what have I been for Halloween? I don't know that it's that smart yet.
I agree with you. I think we've got to see it, because here's the thing.
Yeah.
None of these features are released yet.
Right.
We literally cannot mess with any of them. So is it vaporware?
Right.
It's Google, so, you know, I mean, they have a little bit of a track record of that.
And then they'll like shelter it for the rest of forever. Right. Put it back on a shelf. But one that actually is very interesting to me is the gems. And this coming from, I am the head of support for a company. So I would love to train an AI with all of like my KB articles and stuff that agents can look at, like to help customers, like not customer facing, but so like an agent could chat with this AI that's trained on all of our KB articles and things and get answers to those questions without having to like bug our tier 2 or anything like that. So it'd be like, oh, how do I refund this payment or something like that? And so
100%.
And like, I think that's a really cool use for that, where I can just train it with our specific data. I don't want this data like, you know, incorporated anywhere else, but my agents can use that to really help them with their job.
Yeah, that's a major use case for it. I think that's a killer use case.
That's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, we can do that internally with the OpenAI version. We don't want the training data to be made public from the GPT, and we want to use it internally. And that's one of the issues with ChatGPT is if you make a GPT and it's like you can't share it publicly and not have the public look at it unless you've got a certain type of account, which that's what we're talking.
That's why you pay.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's interesting. So if you've got, I mean, I don't know how many like articles are in your knowledge base, right? But if you take something like Apple, I did tech support for them for a minute, and their knowledge base is ridiculous. It's absolutely, it's massive.
You can't put that in a ChatGPT.
You can't find. Well, here's the problem: you can't find anything in it. Right. So if their Gemini 1.5 Pro has a 2 million context window, maybe we're getting closer to having that in there. Because trying to find the stuff in there would be way easier with an AI than it would try and search for it. It was impossible to search. It was absolutely impossible. You found yourself just bookmarking articles as you came across them to be like, come back to you because I'll never find that again. Never, ever. So yeah, I think that's a great case for it. And you don't want that to be internal, right? I could see maybe you have two, right? Maybe there's an external one and an internal one that has a mix of both, right? Which is what Apple has. So the knowledge base that you see externally on Apple, if you go to their knowledge base system, it's the same one they use internally, just with different articles in it. Or I should say there's more internally than there are externally.
Right.
It's just relying on it when you go customer facing, then you own it. When it's internal, it can make mistakes. It's not as bad. They can always complain to their boss, and they're like, "Well, you should have known that anyway. What are you doing?"
Why are you asking them this? Something that you learned on training day one. I mean,
I told you how to refund payments a week ago. So we don't refund payments.
You do this every day. Why are you going to the knowledge base? What are we doing here?
Exactly.
So what do you guys think? Who won the battle this week? OpenAI or Google? In the AI release wars?
I think it's OpenAI. I think they're going to be better marketers than Google are. And it doesn't matter what they do. Like, you notice what they talked about is like context windows and all that stuff, and no one cares about that stuff.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it is OpenAI that wins the day, because it seems, I mean, and not to disparage your kind, but this was very like dev directed. Way too technical.
Agreed.
Nobody understands any of that. And so, OpenAI wins hands down.
And that was kind of one of my points that I made too, is like, yes, I get that it's a developer conference. It is the IO developer conference. But here's the thing. The keynote, everyone watches. Yeah. The keynote should not be overly technical.
Right.
OpenAI used actual demos and real-time demos too, by the way. They had demo fail.
Sure.
In that 30-minute, they had demo fail. There was stuff in there that didn't work.
Did they throw a rock at a window and say that it wasn't going to shatter?
Yeah, exactly. Elon style. Not quite that bad, but it did make mistakes, and they pointed them out. It showed that it was real. The Google one had none of that. It was all like pre-scripted and like it was all very much canned. Yeah. And I think they made the mistake of, like Bobby said, announcing too many things with under the hood technical details when you could have just demoed it.
Right.
Just show me how it works and show me the magic, and then I'll figure out the technical part afterwards. Right. It didn't have to be 2 hours of what ended up being
And you would
boring.
think these Silicon Valley guys that are running this would just watch the Steve Jobs movie and just say, you know, all I had to do was say hello.
Right.
You know, like, and then he showed the thing, he demoed the thing, and
Talk
he held
for 30
the
minutes
iPhone
and pulled
up.
something out your pocket. Exactly.
Yeah, it just like,
that
whoa,
was the magic.
You know?
Yeah.
He should, if they have glasses, he should have walked down on the stage with them on, but no, they didn't do that. You know, like he should have just said, hey, let me ask this, you know, like that's show the magic and not the underpinnings, I think. Yeah. The thing that I didn't like that I thought was kind of weird was when she's walking around the phone and it's like, hey, is that a plant? And you're just like, okay, Captain Obvious. I mean, like, is this all this can do?
Google Lens does that anyway. Like,
I mean, like, you know, I mean, I guess you can have the Terminator style glasses that has like context on every single thing you look at. I mean, like, you know, they also pointed it at a database diagram. Hey, make this faster, add a cache. Yeah. I'm like, well, you could check the index first. I mean, like, so like, but that was just me. That's the first thing that I was looking at. Like, well, that's there. Yeah, that's the stream there. It's just kind of weird. And they went from the database diagram to a picture of cats on the same whiteboard, which was just totally like,
yeah, I think they tried to shove a lot of things in there to try and like show a demo, but I agree the demo wasn't the best.
Yeah,
but that was one of the highlight parts. That's
what I mean.
Like, what was like one of the best parts of it for me. Like,
what am I going to do with
the
this?
best part was before the presentation when Mark Rubelet was there doing he did like a 30-minute DJ set using AI. That was the best thing of the whole show for me.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, so just what are the use cases I think most of these guys are missing out on? And they're relying on developers to come up with the use cases. And I do think that's the problem with all of this is like, no one's really figured out, do I want a $5,000 glasses to tell me that there's a flower on my desk? I mean, like, no, it's got to do something else for me. You know, like, why didn't they walk up to a air conditioner unit and pull the panel off and it shows me the wiring diagram? And, you know, that's would have been better. So like, you know, show me how that I can fix this in my house, you know, because
that's the problem Google has. They talk about the kind of the why and not the how too much. They're talking about the under the hood stuff and like I should say the how, like from a technical perspective, but not the how would I use it or why. I guess it's the other way around. Why I would use it, right? Like how I'm supposed to use it. They just want to talk about we have this thing, and then they kind of my kind of analogy that I put on Threads was like they're not giving you the punchline. They're like they're leading you up to the joke, but they're not giving you the punchline. They're giving you all the lead up, but nothing after that. And like, what really wows is the punchline. That's the part that people want. They want to see like the little wow bit. We can talk about the technical part later. I don't care that it's 2 million like token context window.
No one knows what that means. Even me,
does.
I'm highly technical. I don't know exactly what 2 million tokens. I know it's bigger, and I know that you put more information into it.
Right.
But how does that translate a token to a byte? I don't know. I mean, like it's just bigger, you know. And that's how they should tell it.
Why do I care?
Yeah, I can put more documents in the context window, and it can search more. Okay, cool.
Great. Thanks.
That's 20% more than it was before. Oh, okay. And it's going to be 50% next month. You know, like. Something like that. They didn't announce pricing. OpenAI said, hey, API is 50% cheaper, boys.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Everyone's signing on the API and saying, what can we build with this? What else can I do?
Yeah.
I think it's good.
Yeah. And to like what Bobby said, recently my washing machine broke. It had an error code on it. If I could just like the error code and AI tells me exactly how to fix that error, like, that is
with
beneficial.
Your Samsung 24, yes. I mean,
exactly.
See, and this is one of the promises.
Or
one
Google
of the demos
Pixel.
that they had here, one of the demos that they had was there was a lead with a record player, and it wasn't the arm of the record player wasn't weighted correctly at the back. So as she put the record arm down, it popped back off the record again. And she had a video and she's videoing it and says, hey, what's wrong with this? And it did know what was wrong with it. It pointed us to an article that said, hey, the weight's wrong on the tone arm.
Yeah.
You need to fix it like this. I was like, that's
the magic.
Give me more of that. Just more. Right. Tell me exactly how I need to use it, because that's where the magic is.
Yeah.
You spending 2 hours on this thing was just weird. Announcing 100 different things just felt strange.
Yeah, 100 things.
Do they just have too many features to roll out?
Yeah.
When it's all AI too, like, and this is AI, and this is AI, and this is AI. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay, great. Like, exactly. Show me the use cases. Don't tell me this little part of AI. Like, yeah, I get it. It's all AI. Great. Like,
yeah.
Tell me how to use it.
I think there needs to be more selective too over like how they roll them out. Like that's to my point. That's what OpenAI did. That's why I was saying on the website, there's stuff buried in there that it does. They did not talk about it on their presentation, whatever you want to call it. They just showed me the bits that I was going to go, wow, that's cool.
Right.
Yeah.
And they buried the other stuff. It can do all this other stuff. That's what Google needed to do. They needed to give me 5 wows, and then I would have been like, oh, that was cool. That's amazing. And then I would have uncovered this other stuff that it can do.
Right.
Yeah, Apple goes, one more thing. The Google guy goes, okay, 99 more things.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And they're all just like these little things.
Get some like popcorn, because you're gonna be sitting there for a while. We've got a lot to go over.
There were a couple of funny moments. There was one moment where the camera cut to somebody in the audience. They did a giant yawn. I was like,
exactly.
Well, you just summed it up. Like that. You just summed up what is happening here right now. Right. And there's some dude next to him on his phone, just like. I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's the whole thing right there. Somebody yawning and somebody on their phone in the audience, and you're there, literally there looking at it, and you're bored.
Yeah. That's like super unrelated. I went to a band concert because my son's in band, and he said, literally, every time I turned around and looked at you, you looked like the most bored person in the
Loved
entire
every minute of it,
world.
You should have just gone to Google I/O. Maybe next year.
I'm like, I was entertained when you were on stage, but the rest of that, I don't care.
While we're on the topic of AI, some more AI, and specifically some more Google AI, which wasn't part of Google I/O. This came out before
I was going to say,
Google
this is totally Google, and it's so much cooler.
Right?
Than the entire 2 hours.
And it's very unrelated to I/O, because they didn't announce this at I/O. This was YouTube. They didn't announce anything YouTube at I/O, I don't think. Not in the keynote.
Not that anyway. I could see, yeah.
But a few days before, actually on May 5th, so about a week or so ago from when we're recording this now, they announced this feature, and it's an AI feature that is being rolled out to some users in a testing phase. Apparently, you've got to be a premium user, and you have to have access to this to be able to use it as well. I do not have access. I'm a premium user. But if you go to youtube.com/new, it'll be listed there if you have access to it. So how this works, basically, it is a skip ahead feature powered by AI for watching YouTube videos. So basically, you double tap. There's some pictures down here. You double tap to skip ahead, and then you'll see this jump ahead button. And AI will basically predict where most people jump ahead and place your playhead on that part, and then keep playing the rest of the video.
So I'm not a YouTube premium subscriber. I mean, I don't know if you had more that you wanted to say, but I'm jumping in right away because I'm super excited. This would cause me to subscribe. 100%.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. And here's the like, you guys know how much I love to watch trial coverage, right? Okay. When they go to lunch or where they go, like usually I'll start behind, right? And so I have to skip over the like sidebars and the breaks and things like that. And it's like, while I'm waiting for them to come back from lunch, then like I have to try and like track, like, okay, they'll probably be at lunch for like an hour. So like I'll track ahead an hour, and then nope, they're already in trials. So then I got to go back and all this stuff. Like 100% I would subscribe for this feature alone.
Well, I think it's coming.
I'm excited.
I think it's gonna be a thing. Now, whether it is premium only or not, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be. It's premium only in testing. They haven't said whether it's going to be a premium feature, but I wouldn't be shocked if it was behind the paywall. You know, it makes kind of sense to do that.
I think people jump ahead to the Stephen Colbert all the way to the end. They just skip the whole thing. So
sure, right?
Stephen Colbert's like, hey, wait a second. No one jumps my content. Come on.
Well, this brings up a question. What do you think about it from a content creator perspective?
Sucks.
Well, you just got to be entertaining the entire time. That's the problem.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, agree. It is. I'm with you, Sarah, and I'm with you, Bobby. It's like from a user's perspective, yes, this is genius. From a creator's perspective, it's bad, and it's bad because we know one of the major metrics that YouTube and Google use is watch time.
Right.
So watch time is what drives your videos, right? If you have good watch time, they will get recommended to more people. You will get more views. More 100%. Views equal more money for you as a creator.
Right.
Watch time in the first 30 seconds is the big thing,
right.
Yeah. I mean, if they skip that first part, right? Do they just like hit the button straight away and you skip that and you're done? Like that's it? Your watch time is like a minute on a 10-minute video. Does it then not get recommended? I'm wondering if the algorithm takes into account the fact that you've used the AI watch ahead or something or jump ahead, or I don't know. I'm guessing it doesn't. My guess is it just like happens.
Because I would say like because I mean, it already does auto chapters for a lot of videos, right?
Yeah, if you turn that on, it does. Yeah.
So, and I've put on my own chapters for several videos, and it's really only like improved kind of the number of views I get. Again, it's not great for watch time, but I think the user experience is better. So then they are more likely to continue to watch my videos. And with this jump ahead feature, I really only think because there's not a lot of like my videos where I see another spike in like unless it's like chaptered and they go to like a specific how-to part, right?
Okay. Yep.
And that's like, so really they're just jumping ahead to the part that like is really the most beneficial to them. And like for my example, when there's like long pauses in the middle of like whatever I'm watching, there are going to be those like dips and spikes. And so that's where it's going to be beneficial. I don't think it's going to put like the jump ahead on a video that's like got watch time that's like standard, like, I think it's only going to really show up if there's like a huge spike later. Yeah. So I don't think it's going to be a huge change for a lot of creators.
So you think they're going to programmatically add jump ahead just to certain videos, not everything?
I think so. Like ones that have like that spike in the middle, I think they would add it to those.
Yeah, I agree because there's going to be some that aren't as obvious to jump ahead, right? It's not every video has a point where it's going to go ahead. But I think you're right because maybe this is just an AI way of doing what people are doing anyway.
Right.
Because some people will look at that chart and they'll say like, oh, there's a giant spike right there. I'm just going to that point, right? I just put my playhead there and play it anyway.
Right.
On longer videos, people are doing that anyway, so it's hurting watch time already. So maybe it's just an automated way of doing that. You're right, replacing a chapter that we have to add in already.
Right.
Time to talk about recommendations and nulls and not nulls for this week. What you got, Bobby? Anything?
I don't really have a null or not null this week. I'm kind of I've been working. So like I didn't purchase anything.
A week goes by. We can't have these every week. I've thought about this. At some point, we're going to run out of things to recommend or not recommend just because we didn't buy anything or do anything or use a service or something this week. Like, you can't always have something. I do, though. I'm going with mine. I'll do yours last, Sarah. I have a null and a not null. I'm going for both. Both of mine are related to Marvel this week.
Oh,
a
interesting.
Null and a not null for Marvel. So, my null is a pre-null. Okay, and I'm going to tell you why it's a pre-null because I've only watched
a prequel, but not
exactly. I've only watched half of it. I went in with very low expectations, and I'm going to reserve my final judgment to next week because it's kind of met its very low expectations so far.
What did you watch? Oh my god!
and this is my null. I went in with expectations that were on the floor, and it's kind of like it's kind of there already halfway through. So. But I'm going to give it the chance, and I'll come back next week and tell you whether it's actually still my null for the week. So that's my null. My not null, though, is Disney, and it's this, which seems like a weird not null, X-Men 97. If you're of a certain age like me, you may have watched this back in the 90s when it was a thing.
It looks real familiar to me. Yeah.
Exactly. It is basically the same art style, the same everything, same storyline from them. They've just continued on in a whole new series on Disney Plus, and it's really good. And the season finale just happened. I have not watched the end of the season yet. Really good storyline. Obviously, awesome characters, X-Men stuff, and it's canon, so it's great. It's good. It's just good. It's on Disney Plus. Definitely recommend.
It reminds me of Batman the Animated Series. Like my husband still like rewatches that series like over
good storytelling
and over
is
again.
good storytelling,
Right?
Like, this has it.
Yeah.
It's just good. Definitely recommend the whole series. I don't know how many episodes it is. I want to say it's 8 or 9 episodes, maybe something like that. And where they could, by the way, they got the original voice cast back for the people who were still willing and alive, because some of them aren't alive anymore.
Yeah.
So
speaking of Disney Plus, though, and this is totally not related, but did you see the news about Comcast doing a bundle with Netflix, Apple TV, and Peacock?
You mean cable?
Right?
I mean, talk about full circle. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
full
what are we doing?
circle. Because Disney's got Hulu, ESPN, and now they're like potentially partnering with Max, who like changes their name every month.
Yeah.
But like, so now we're gonna have this like Disney bundle, and we're gonna have this like Xfinity bundle, and like
We knew we'd get there eventually.
We've got
didn't we?
DirecTV and Dish back.
Yeah, we knew we'd get there eventually, because unbundling, as much as people wanted it, has not worked out very well, because it's become very, very, very expensive.
It hasn't worked for the creators either. I mean, Disney Plus doesn't make money. I mean, like, so they should have just stayed at cable and got their $6 a month per user baked in.
We're just going to bundle them back up again and sell them as a package, and then a decade's time we'll be unbundling again.
Yeah.
It's going to be this vicious cycle of unbundling and bundling. I don't think we're going to hit a sweet spot. It's always going to be in turmoil.
Right.
I think what hurt is like the other channels that I don't watch anymore. Like after I left and went to UTV, I quit watching Discovery, everything Discovery, history, all that stuff. I quit watching it.
Yeah, it's true.
Because I don't flip the channels like I do. I just have the 4 on the top.
Well, you're not missing anything.
I know, but I'm just saying, before I used to every now and then say, hey, what's on Discovery? Let me see what's over there. Now,
the last time the Learning Channel had things that you can learn from.
It was a long time ago.
Worst channel ever.
Yeah, and history. Forget history.
Well, Aliens. I would watch Ancient Aliens.
Yeah. If Aliens are history, then the History Channel has it. Otherwise, not so much.
I have to say, I have watched Ancient Aliens. I do find it quite funny, and
it is comedy. It genuinely is.
Yeah.
Like the Flat Earth documentary, right?
Yeah,
that's one of the
comedy.
best like hidden comedies ever. If you've ever watched it,
because there's only one punchline in it.
It's at the very end, and when you watch it, you're like, "Oh my gosh, I've been hoodwinked."
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, Sarah, what you got this week?
Okay, so I am gonna kind of switch up my null not null and get recommendations from our audience, because
Awesome.
Here is my problem. I've said these are a null before. These are the skull candy, like active, whatever. I hate them. But I've been using them because my Samsung buds hurt my ears. I work in an office now. As you see, I'm not in my house studio anymore. And so I can't watch my trials. Like I have to like listen to my trials with earbuds like while I'm working, and the Samsung buds like just hurt my ears after like 30 minutes. And so I'm like, I can't wear these anymore. And I hate these. So I need a recommendation for the most comfortable Bluetooth earbuds possible. Like they need to be comfortable. I don't care about sound quality. Again, I'm listening to trials for the most part. And I'm not like a huge audiophile. Like I don't like I'm actually tone deaf. So like I really can't hear like, you know, my husband.
That's why you're bored at your son's concert.
It is why I'm bored. Like
so you want comfort over quality.
Yes, comfort over quality. Like, yeah, the jazz band. Oh my god!
There's only one brand to pick. I will save you time, but Shocks. That's the only one.
So I've been looking at those for sure. I
have a pair.
Like my concern is like people around me though. Like, can they hear it? Like, because it's not.
These
going
are the bone
in
conductive ones.
Yes,
right?
it is the bone.
It's more quieter than an earbud.
Interesting. So yeah, like that's on my list. Like a few of them that have like kind of popped up that I've seen. I've asked this question on my Instagram too. A lot of people were talking about the Raycons, and said the Raycons were really good. the Shocks is definitely one of them.
And there's a Bose clip-in. There's a Bose clip-in that's pretty cool. It clips to your ear.
Because I saw Bose. It was a Bose Fit or something like that. That looked really interesting.
They clip right here. They look weird, but they would do work. But Shocks is a little different because it has a band that goes around. But since you have long hair, no one will see it.
Well, but they
got the smaller ones too.
Shocks has ones that are like individual ears now too. So that's the one I was really looking at, is those Shocks.
Well, that's it. Yeah, anybody has any recommendations, let Sarah know. Email us. Where can they email us? Where can they email us?
thenotnullpodcast at AOL.com.
That's it.
Give us your recommendations for your earbuds, because comfort, that's what I need. I want to be able to like listen to them all day. And then I also want to like be able to like pause it, because like if someone comes in my office, like I need to pause it really quickly. I don't like, that's my problem, because the Samsung Buds, I can pause it really easily, but they hurt. These, I can't pause it. So I'm like looking for my phone to like pause my trial. And
okay. So some kind of on-ear controls.
On-ear controls where I can like pause it real quick, where like they can be sort of far from my phone, because like I'll go to like the kitchen or whatever, and I'm not gonna like take my phone with me, and these ones keep like losing connection like when I just walk over to the stupid kitchen. Like, so can you tell how much I love these?
I'm surprised you actually have them there. You haven't smashed them up.
Because I don't have a replacement. Like it's either these or the ones that hurt my ears. So yeah,
not a very good choice. So
I need help, audience. Let's hear it.
If you're watching on YouTube too, throw them in the chat or in the comments. I mean, throw a comment down below. Well, that is it for this week's episode of the Not Null Podcast. Thank you for hanging out with us this far. If you could do a couple of things for us, please leave us a rating or a review wherever you listen to your podcast. Please let a friend know this podcast even exists and that it is awesome. And you can also drop us an email. Where can they drop the email to, Sarah?
I just said it, but the Not Null Podcast at AOL.com.
That is it. The Not Null Podcast at AOL.com. We're going to keep saying that over and over and over again.
What was it
send
again?
Recommendations.
I can't remember. The Not Null Podcast at AOL.com?
That's it.
Oh, okay. Sweet.
That's the one. And we will see everybody next week.
Pixelated world, I'm a chatbot king. GPT-4o, hear my code sing. Breaking boundaries, breaking through the screen. Binary beats, I'm a digital machine. I'm the master of the algorithm flow. Processing the data, watch the numbers grow. 8-bit vibes in this pixelated show. From OpenAI, I'm here to steal the show.